Hello and welcome. This is a short video on using Cisco Packet Tracer. First thing we'll look at some of these menu items up on the top left. And an important one is delete, looking at text and adding text on the page, drawing rectangles and shapes. And then this one here is very important. This is called a PDU, or simple PDU, stands for Protocol Data Unit. And it will be used to do something very similar to pinging the computer. The next area to look at is down at the bottom, and this is where we can choose network devices like routers and switches, and end devices like laptops and computers. Our first step is to add 4 computers. So I'm going to put them up here, 1, 2, and try to have them line up, but it's not critical. Once you have the computers on the page, select one of them by clicking, go to configuration, and this is where we're going to type in the IP address. I'm going to use this IP address, and the subnet mask is added automatically. Next, move over to settings and type in the default gateway. This represents the address, or the IP address, it will go to when it can't find it on its own network. The next step is to configure the other 3 computers. And basically, you highlight the computer, click, go to the configuration, and do the same thing we did in the first step. So here I've typed in the default gateway. Now let's go to the Ethernet window and type in the IP address and the subnet mask. So this is the IP address and subnet mask for the second computer. Let's do the third. Default gateway for PC2. Go to Fast Ethernet and type in the IP and subnet. Close this window. Go to the fourth computer. Type in the default gateway. Select the Fast Ethernet 0 interface, type in the static IP address and the subnet mask. And that completes this particular step. So close this window. Now we can go up to the top here and select this inspect icon and then hover over the computer just to verify that we have the right IP address, gateway, and subnet mask. And you'll notice it doesn't really show the subnet mask here. Let's go back here. But it shows /24. What that means is that the first 24 bits of the subnet mask all equal to 1. That's a method of an abbreviation for subnet mask. We'll look at that more later on. So that's the first computer, as expected. And this is the second computer with .55. The third computer with .77. And the fourth computer with .141. So they are all as expected. Part 3 is to connect a switch and connect all the computers to that switch. So the first thing I have to do is go to Network Devices, Switches, and we're going to select this first one on the left and just drag it onto the page. And then we're going to go to Connections. And we're going to use the automatic connection tool, but we can also use a straight through wire for connecting to switches. If you want to connect a computer to computer, you should use a crossover, but many computers will automatically detect that you've connected 2 same devices together and it's not required. So let's start off by connecting automatically. So we're going to click on this computer and then to this switch. And it's automatically going to connect to the first port. So again, I'm going to use the wiring tool from here to the switch, and the wiring tool from here to the switch until we've got all of them connected. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that this is green, but these things are orange, and they'll change colors after a period of time. But if you want to speed things up, we can just click on this icon, and it actually speeds the simulation time. So now they're all connected. And we can click on this switch, and you'll notice here that it's connected to Fast Ethernet 1, 2, 3, and 4. They all say up, which means that they're connected. And over on the right-hand side is their MAC address. So all of that's done. Let's move to the next step. Another good step here is to add some text beside each computer so we know the IP address without opening up each computer. So you click on this note or text icon, come down to here, and the first IP address was 192.168.1.10. So I'm going to add that and do the same for the rest of the computers. At times, what you've typed in will sit in a place that you don't want it to. So the way to move that around is use the select and then just click on the text to move it to where you want. I think actually the 177 is going to be here. So now I have everything where I want it. So the next step is to open up one of the computers. So double click on it, or single click actually, and go to command prompt. You might want to move this window slightly out of the way. And the next step is to ping each of the 4 computers. So I'll start with the first one. So I've entered ping and the IP address, and you hit enter. And it seems to have replied, and that's back to its own computer. And you can hit the backspace key on the computer to execute the same command once again. So I'm going to ping to the next computer, and I'm just going to change that last octet to 55. And ping that, and I get a reply. And let's try the other 2 computers as well. And you can see here with the history, I was able to ping the 55 and get a reply, the 77 and the 141. So it tells me that all of the computers are able to communicate with each other. What I'm going to do next is change the subnet mask for all of the computers. Right now you can see it as 192.168, and let's go to that configuration, 255.255.255.0, but I'm going to change it to 128. Okay, and I'm going to do that for all of the computers. I've just done it for that one. I'm going to change this one to 128, and I'm going to do the other 2 as well. Okay, I did have a mistake on the page here. The subnet mask should be 255.255.255.128. And now I'm going to try pinging each of the computers. So the first one is 192.168.1.10, the current computer I'm on, just to verify I get a reply. And then I'm going to do it for the other computers as well. Here you will notice I was not able to ping to the 4th computer, PC3. And that's because the network ID or the network address did not match that of PC 0, 1, and 2. And you find the network address or network ID by logically ANDing the subnet mask with the IP address. And so for the first 3, that network ID was 192.168.1.0. But for the last one, it was .128. So that's why it's on a different network. We won't get a return ping. Now, a quicker and easier way to do a ping is to use this little envelope here. It's called a protocol data unit, or PDU. And what you do is you click on it, and you click on the computer, and then you click on the next computer that you want to ping. So let's say I want to ping the same computer, and I will get a reply down here saying it was successful from PC 0 to PC 0. The type that is shown here is ICMP. That stands for Internet Control Message Protocol. And it's basically the ping. So if I wanted to ping to the next computer, I would click on the envelope. You see it here. And then to the next computer, and it tells me that it was successful. You can delete those pings, and I find the best way to handle this ping test is to click on Toggle PDU List window. So it brings the PDU list up here. Now you can actually move your whole network up a little bit to give you more space for this window. And this is going to make it very easy to document what ping passed and which ping failed. So let's do that one at a time. So we'll start with this one here. So get that envelope, ping this computer to this computer. You should always do that test first. Then 0 to 1, it passes. 0 to 2 passes. And 0 to 3 is the one that's going to fail. Okay, and it fails. And you can also check that you can ping from this direction to this direction, but it should pass as well. You can delete all of those tests by clicking the delete button, or you can delete one at a time. So let's just try this again. So go up to the PDU, from here to here, passed. From here to here, passed. And if you want to delete just one of them, just double click on this delete icon. Another thing you can do here is to have a look at what's called the address resolution table. And we can click on the inspect button, hover over the computer, and look for ARP table. And what this is showing me is the MAC address of all of the computers that it found on the network by going out to the network, pinging the network, and it replied back from 55 and from 77. And this is the 48-bit MAC address. This is the 32-bit IP address. So this one's hardware based. So every device will have an IP address and a MAC address. Next thing I wanted to show you is if I wanted to draw some graphics, for example, to put a rectangle around some of my devices, I would select this rectangle icon. For my outline, I'm going to choose maybe red and say OK to that, and make sure we're selecting the square. We want to have a fill color, and I'm going to choose a very light color, maybe this green, and then now you can put that rectangle around all of the computers. And as I said, if you need to add more text, maybe the date, your name, whatever, you click on this text icon. So if I wanted to call this, for example, Lab 9, I could. And the other tool I said that's useful is the delete icon. So I've accidentally put another place for text, but I can come over here and delete that. But I don't want to delete PC0. You'll notice it's highlighted, so just click cancel. But now I can click on the delete icon and come over to Lab 9 and delete it because it was the selected item. So I'm going to hit delete. So delete can be very useful as well. And the last thing that I want to mention is this speed up of time. Sometimes when you see things aren't connecting and you want to speed things up a bit, just click on this icon and you'll see that time goes by on the simulation. Thank you. I hope you found this basic demo useful.